Hi everyone, welcome back. These are the photos that we are going to work with. And you will start with this one. Right click and open it with the Photoshop. Before I start working on this, I will create a new document. And we will be using these settings: 1296, 1584 and 72 resolution RGB colors. Now let's go back to our portrait. We are going to cut it out from the background. For that, I'm going to use the pen tool. I unlock the layer, and then you are going to choose the pen tool, and I'm going to carefully make a path around our portrait. Make sure when you're doing your path, keep the path inside the portrait or inside the subject that you're cutting out. I'll bring down the opacity so you don't have the fill, and just like this, create your path. Again, keep your path inside the object. Try your best not to include anything from the background. I'm going to speed this up a bit. You can watch me doing this, or you can just keep this part all together and come back when I finish the selection. We are almost there. Make sure that you connect the first and the last dot together. For now, we didn't connect them. That's why we don't have our path around the object completely. So I'll make sure that I connect both of the lines, just like this. We created the path. Now you will turn this path to selection, command and click on it, go to your photo and make a mask on this photo. Now we have our portrait cut out from the background. I'll copy it and paste it on our new document that we just created. Then we will scale it down to fit it inside this document. I'll make it a bit smaller. Try to make something like this. Now I'll double click on the mask to bring the properties, and I will use the refine edges tool, which is this one, to refine the edges and remove some of the background that we have here, and also we will bring some of the hair. As you can see, the hair is white somehow. We are going to fix that later. I'll Control Z because we don't want this extra hair here. I think we are good like this. You can play with these settings if you want, but for now we will keep it as it is. Press OK. Now I will create a background, create an empty layer. I will use the brush tool to paint something dark on it. This color will be temporary. This is for us just to refine our selection. I'll just increase the size of the brush and paint dark blue on it. Increase the opacity. And paint over it like this. Now as you can see, our selection is not perfect, especially the hair. We have the white areas and we are going to fix that. We are going to lock our background and then we will work on these edges that we have. We have white hairs. So for that, what I'm going to do, I will create a new layer and clip mask it to the hair, and then I will paint black on it, or I will get the color from the hair. So let's do that. Okay, let's create a new empty layer, clip mask it, press on the Option or Alt and click on it. Just like this, we can paint over the hair. We will get our color from the hair. I will press I to get the color and then press B for the brush, and now we can paint over it. Just like this. Let's change the blending mode to the multiply, or let's see what will work the best. In this case, the multiply works the best, so we'll go with that. I will undo some of the step that I did, and then I will decrease the opacity actually, and we are going to continue painting over these white areas. This side as well. As you can see, we have parts of the air have been removed by the selection. We are going to fix that later. Let's now fix the hair. I'll get the color from this area and paint over it. And now we can fix the air with the mask that you have on the portrait. So here I created a mask on this layer. I actually don't need that mask. I need to go to the mask that we have on the portrait, which is this one. And then I will press X to change the color to white, because white will bring back what you have removed. And you're going to paint carefully over it here. We will make the size of the brush smaller. Just like this. I think so far we are good. I'm going to remove some of the stuff from this area. Press X to make the color black and just remove it like this. And if you make a mistake, Command Z is there always. Okay guys, this is the end of this lesson. In the next lesson you are going to cut the head. See you there, it's gonna be an interesting lesson. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lesson you are going to cut the head. For that, I'm going to create a path using the pen tool, and I will create my path the way I want to cut the head. I'll create something wavy like this, bring down the opacity, and now we can work with our path. You can always use Command or Control Z when you make a mistake. I'll try to make a path like this. Okay, let's close our path. As you can see, our path is not very smooth. I'll use the direct selection tool to fix these points. By this we will fix our path. Guys, you just follow me what I'm doing and then copy the last thing that I go with. And this will be the last thing. Try to make something similar to this one. The next thing we are going to do is to turn this path into selection. But before we do that, we need to prepare our portrait. So we will use this selection to cut the head of this lady, but we need to prepare it. I will duplicate it, Command J, and I will keep one of the copies just for the backup. I will create a folder and name it Save, and I will put this one here, and then I will disappear it or disable it, put it below everything else. For this one, we need to group it with the layer above it, which we use to fix the hair. Select both of them, group them together, right click and group or Command G, and then right click and convert it to the smart object. Then I'm going to rasterize it for the sake of the RAM, and we will call this model. Then we will go to the shape, Command and click on it to make a selection. Disable the shape layer, we don't need it anymore. Now go to the model, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, you will have a copy in a new layer. This copy you are not going to use it, this is just for the backup. Name it anything, other part of the head, I will name it that. Then hide it and put it on the save folder. Now we will do the selection again, then click on the backspace or delete to delete it. And we will get something like this, and this is actually what we want. Now the next thing, we are going to create the other part of the head or the other side of the head. For that I'm going to use the pen tool. Just like this, we will create the back part of the head. Try your best to match it to the front cut. This part doesn't matter, we are going to bring it down like this. And then we will need to use the direct selection tool to refine our path. Now go to the direct selection tool and you are going to refine it just like this. Okay, let's keep it like this. I think it's good enough. It will be blocked by the flowers anyway, so you'll keep it like this. The next thing, you're going to change the color of the shape or of the backside of the head. I'm going to use one color, and you can get the color from the face actually. I'm going to change the color from here, double click on the shape layer and get the color from the face like this. And the next thing, we need to make the shadow inside the skull. So we have this 3D look. We are going to create a new empty layer and put it over the back part of the head. I will name it Shadow Skull, and then clip mask it. Click on the option or alt and click on it to clip mask it. Now we can paint inside it. I'll make the size of the brush a bit bigger, and then we will get the color from an area that has the shadow in the portrait, which is this area is good. I'll get it from here. Press B for the brush again, and now we can paint inside the skull. As you can see, it's already giving it a 3D look. We will go ahead and refine this shadow inside the skull. As you can see, we have an issue here. I'm going to select my layer, which is the back of the skull. Then I will use the direct selection tool and fix it like this. Okay, now I will create some of the shadow in this area. I'll make it darker. Then we will change the blending mode of this layer. I'll keep it as overlay. The next thing we need to do is to make the front edge of the head bevel, like make a 3D cut. For that I'm going to duplicate this, Command J, and bring this down. Then use the arrow key to move it up, so we can create this 3D edge cut. But we need to color it. For that I will create an empty layer over this model copy. Then we will clip mask it, press on the Option or Alt and click on it to clip mask it. Now select your layer and go to the Edit, then Fill, change the contents to color, and get the color from the skin, this color, and press OK. Now you have something like this, but as you can see we have these edges over all the body and we need to remove that. I will make a mask on the model copy, increase the size of the brush, make sure that you're using the black color, and like this we will remove these parts that we don't want. Now I want to move this to the right side. I will use the arrow key to move it to the right side. I think we need to move it a bit more. Then bring it down. Like this is good. Now click on your mask layer again and go to the brush tool, and we are going to remove the rest of the parts that we don't want. Let's zoom in. For this part we don't want anything to be removed outside the circle of the brush. That's why I'm going to change it to hard rounded brush, so we only remove the parts that we want, or the parts that are included in the circle. Increase the flow and remove it like this. Let's remove the other parts that we don't want. We need to carefully remove from this side as well. I will Command Z to bring it back, and I will cut it again. Okay, so far we are good like this. The next thing I'm going to do is to change the color of this bevel or this edge, so you can have some of the highlights and shadows on the edge. I'm going to select the layer that we have the color on it, which is this color. Select it, choose the brush tool, change the color to somewhere around this color, and paint over here. Then I will change the color to something darker, and I'll paint over this area. It's too harsh. Change the opacity to 31. I didn't like it. Command Z, change the brush to the soft round, and now paint slowly over it. I think we'll keep it like this. Yeah, let's keep it like this. So this will be the end of this lesson. In the next lesson we are going to bring our flowers and put it in the skull. And there will be a lot of fun stuff in the next lesson. I'll see you there. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lesson you are going to put these flowers inside the skull. Open it with the Photoshop. And then we will move it, copy and paste it over here. Make sure it is below the model and over the back part of the head. As you can see, it has been clip masked automatically. I'm going to unmask it by pressing on the Option or Alt and click on it. Now scale it and fit it inside the skull. We will keep it like this. If we check the headroom, it's too high now. It's almost touching the edges. We need to bring it down later. For now, I will make a mask on the flower. And you are going to remove the unwanted part. You'll remove this leaf. I will increase the opacity of the brush, and just like this, we will remove it. Now let's select all of the layers. Click on the first one, Shift and the last one. Bring them down. I'm using the arrow key to bring them down like this. I think we are good. Let's keep it like this. Make sure it's in the middle and you have some of the space in the upper side. Now we need to make some of the shadows on these flowers. For that, I'm going to press on the command and click on the flower to make a selection, just like this. Then we will create a new layer, an empty layer, and clip mask it to the flower. We'll go to the brush and we will paint like this. But first we need to change the color, something dark, and the blending mode to the overlay. Change the size of the brush and the opacity, bring it down. 90 is good. Now we can paint over it. But I think we need to change the blending mode to the multiply or something, because overlay is obviously not working good. Now we made it multiply and we are going to paint over here. By the way guys, now we can get rid of the selection tool because we already clip masked our layer, so we don't need the selection anymore. Ctrl D to deselect, or you can just go to the selection tool and click on it. Now let's go back to our layer and continue creating our shadow. I'm actually going to paint over everything, and then I will make a mask on this layer and remove the part that I don't want. Make a mask on it like this. Use the black color and remove the areas that you don't want. I will decrease the opacity and I'm going to remove it like this. Let's increase the opacity to 30. Okay, something like this should be good. If you can see, we have some of the transparent on the bubble. For that, I'm going to choose the model copy, which is the bubble. Then choose the layer mask. And we are going to use the brush tool to bring back some of the opacity. I'm just trying to bring it back slowly. As you can see, parts of the hair are also coming back. We are going to remove that later. Now change the brush. I'm going to use the heart rounded, and of course you need to make the color black to remove it, just like this. I pressed X to change the color, by the way. Make sure that you're carefully removing these sides. Okay, I think we are good like this, but one thing I want to play with is the bubble. The color that you have on the bubble, I want to change that. Click on the color. We're going to paint over it. I will get the color from this area and paint on this area and this one. I will change the brush to the soft round and bring down the opacity to 43. And then you can just paint over it like this. I'll make it a bit darker. Paint on these areas. Okay, I think we are good like this. The last thing I want to do is to reduce the shadow that you have on the flowers. I selected the mask layer and now we are using the brush tool. Bring down the opacity of the brush to 8. Use the black color and we will just remove it like this. It's good like this. Now the next thing, I'm going to create the circle, a very colorful circle, and you'll put it inside the skull. I will use one of the gradients, this one that has 4 colors. Now you will change the colors. Double click on each of the pens that you have and then you are going to change it. I'll make this blue, a very bright blue. This one will be purple and this one will make it pink. Okay, something like this. And this one will be like orange or very light orange or yellow, something like this. Each of these pens, they have these points you can play with, and if you click on an empty area, you will have a new pen. You can drag it out to remove it. We will play with these points to change the area that this color will affect. Sorry, Control Z or remove like this. For this purple, I think it's too harsh. I'm going to double click on it and make a lighter purple. And we should be good like this. Now we will fit this inside the skull, behind the flowers. Something like this. I'll make it bigger. Now if you try to rotate it, the gradient is not rotating with it. You need to make it rasterized layer to do that. But I will not do that for now. I'll go to the shape tool, use the rectangle tool to make a line like this. And we will use the same thing on it. I'll use the same gradient. This one. And I'm going to change the color. I'll get it from this circle. Double click. Okay, just like this. Okay, we'll get the color from this area, or actually I'm going to choose one by myself, something like this, and this one will be yellow or oranges, very light one. Now I want to swap these colors. I'll move this here and this one here. I want to change this color, double click on it, and let's make it darker purple, something like this, and this one also make it more toward the red. Now rotate it and put it inside the skull just like this. It should be behind the flowers. Something like this will be good. Okay, this will be the end of this lesson. In the next lesson we are going to work on the background and refine some of the stuff on our portrait. I'll see you there. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lesson we are going to work on the background. So first thing, we will select our background layer, unlock it, and we will choose the brush tool, increase the opacity to 82, and we will change the color to something like this but darker, dark blue. Let's paint over it. I actually didn't like this tone of the blue. I'm going to change the brush color, change the tone of the blue to something like this. Now let's paint over everything again, and then I will create an empty layer, and I'm going to paint over this as well. I will get my colors from these circles. So guys, now I'm going to experiment with the background to see what will work for me. I could cut this part all together and show you the last thing I go with, but I want you to see the process and to see how I come up with the final background. I will keep experimenting. I'm getting the color from this circle. Just to remind you again, I is for the eyedrop to get the color and B is for the brush. I'll get some of the color from here. Press B and paint over it. I still didn't get something that I like. Let's try this blue. It's actually not bad. Okay, I'll press I to get some of the yellow. And press B for the painting. I'll paint over here. Decrease the opacity, make it 22. I will get some of the pink from this area and paint over here. Let's get some of the purple. Actually, yeah, somewhere around here, and paint over it like this. So the whole process is to mix these colors together and to have something nice. Now I'll make a mask on this layer, and we are going to remove parts of it. Increase the size of the brush. When we remove it, the background behind it will appear, which is the dark blue. I think it's too much. I will Ctrl Z, make the size smaller a bit. Let's remove some more. Now let's go to this layer, the blue one. I'm going to change the color a bit. Choose this blue and very dark. Now paint on this area. Now let's go to the other background layer and select the mask. With the brush we're going to remove more. Actually it's too much like this. I'm going to Ctrl Z, bring back, increase the size of the brush, something like this, and we are going to remove it to have a nice combination. I think I will keep it like this for now. And now I want to fix this area. This edge is annoying me. I want to fix it. I will select this one, make a new layer over it, name it Fix, and we will use the brush tool. Get the color from this one, press I and get the color. Press B for the brush tool again, make it very small. And then we will paint over it to remove the gap that we have here. Let's zoom out and see. I think we need to work on it more. I will make the size of the brush smaller. Make it 1. And increase the opacity. I'll make it 100. And I will paint just like this. Let's zoom out. Perfect, we fixed this one. Now let's create another layer, and this one will be colors. What we want to do with this one, we want to blend this portrait with the background, especially the lower part of the portrait. So I'll use the brush tool, increase the size of the brush tool, and we will get the color from the background. Press I to get this color. And now we can press B for the brush, bring down the opacity to 36. One thing we need to do, we need to clip mask this color layer with the model. Sorry, you need to press on the Alt or Option and click on the layer to clip mask to the layer below it. And now we can paint over it like this. I will get the color from the background and paint over it. Let's get some of the pink and purple also. Press I and I will get the pink from here. Get some color from this area. So what you are trying to do is to blend the portrait with the background. Actually it is too much, Ctrl Z. Let's paint over this area. It's good, but we need to play with it more. I'm going to get some color from here, press B and paint over it. What we are trying to do here is to combine the pink and yellow. Bring down the opacity to 11. And like this we are good. Now make a mask on this layer. We are going to remove some part of it, especially this area. When you're doing this type of painting, you will need Ctrl and Z a lot. For me it is not working now. I will Ctrl and Z. Decrease the opacity to 4, and then we can remove like this. I think we are good like this. Now the next thing, I'm going to duplicate the model layer, duplicate it, Command J. Now we will move one of the copies above the color. Then we will change the blending mode. Make the blending mode divide, make a mask on it, choose the brush tool, make the black color and we are going to remove it. We will increase the opacity of the brush, make the size bigger, and we will remove like this. So you want this effect only in the lower part of the portrait. Okay, let's keep it like this for now. I will go back to the color layer and I will remove some of the color on the shoulder of this lady. Make sure to choose the mask on the color layer and you are using the brush to remove it slowly. I think removed a lot. I'm going to decrease the opacity to 30. Again guys, you need to select the mask layer, not the layer itself. Okay, we'll keep it like this. We are good. The next thing we are going to do is to play with the skin color. I will create an empty layer. I will call it face color or skin color. Then we will clip mask it to the model copy to layer. Just bring it down. Press on the Alt or Option and click on it to clip mask. Use the brush tool to paint over it. We will change the blending mode to the overlay. The color is too much. I will Ctrl Z. Make sure that you make the blending mode to the overlay. Now you'll get the color from this area and paint over the face. Again, it's too much. Ctrl Z, bring down the opacity to 9 and paint over it like this. You should have something like this by the end. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I want to decrease the intensity of this area. The below area of the portrait is too bright. I want to remove it. I just selected that layer, which is named model. I'm sorry for this section, I didn't name anything properly, so forgive me if you get messed up. Make sure to name your layers as mine so you can follow up with me. So I remove some of the effect from it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to duplicate this model copy to duplicate it, and we're going to move this copy over everything, and then we are going to add noise filter. We will make the amount 30, press OK, change the blending mode to the lighten, and then add a mask to it. We are going to remove the noise from some areas. Add a mask, use the brush tool, the black color. We'll make the size smaller of the brush, and we will remove slowly from it like this. I will increase the opacity to 90 or 70. I want to make this noise effect less intense, and we are going to remove from some areas. I think we removed so much. I will press X to make the color white. With this we'll bring back some of the noise. Again, the noise is too much. I'm going to press X to make the color black and bring down the opacity to 3. Now I will remove the noise from it a bit. This time the noise will be removed very little, not like the other time. You're not going to remove a lot of noise from it. We are good like this. Now let's go to the background. We will duplicate it, Command J, and we'll add noise to this background. We will give it 30 again, press OK, and then you will change the blending mode to the lighten. Now choose the brush tool. We will make the size bigger, and make sure you choose the layer mask, not the layer itself. So let's choose the layer mask, and we can remove it like this. I will increase the opacity a bit, and then I will increase the size of the brush as well actually. Right click, and now just remove the noise like this. Okay, we are good like this. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to duplicate this circle, and I will bring it over everything else. Okay, we'll keep it like this, bring it down a bit. And the next thing, we will zoom in on the eye, and we are going to create a teardrop using the pen tool. I'll start from here. Press on the shift and click here to have a straight line. This one should be rounded, and then press on the shift and click here. We want to give the illusion that the tear is coming out from the eye, just like this. And now you will change the color to something like this. You will give a gradient. Actually, we'll use something with 4 gradient colors. And we are going to change the color. We will get our color from this circle and also from the line. Something like this is good. Now what you are going to do is the end of the tear. We need to fix here. I'm going to use the direct selection tool. With this I will select the points and change the roundness. Press on the shift when you want to control only one handle, just like this. This point doesn't have the handles, we need to add that. Go to the pen tool, click and hold and use the last one, convert to the point. Like this we created handles for this point. Now you'll go to the direct selection tool again. And now we can play with these handles to make something that we like. I'm pressing on the shift again just to play with one of the handles. Try to make something like this. I think we are good now. Now the next thing, I'm going to the crop tool. And we are going to change the size of our document. For now I'm just trying to experiment and see if it will work. I will put my character or the portrait in the middle of the document and I will see if it will look nice. But obviously it's not very nice. Ctrl Z to undo it. We will use the crop tool again. We want the lady to be from one side, which is the right side, just like this. Oh, now we have a problem. We will use the crop tool again. Try to remove this side. Let's keep it like this. The next thing, I'm going to play with the colors of the circle that you have in the front, which is this one. Select it. To show the properties, click on the direct selection tool and the properties will appear here. Now we can play with the colors until we get something that we like. I'm going to play with these colors. You try to copy the last thing that I'm going with. Actually, I'm not going to change a lot from this one, but I'm going to make it different from the circle that you have in the head. I just removed one of the colors. I'll change this color to something else. So working with Photoshop is like this. You have to experiment things until you find something that you like. For me, this is working. I'll keep it like this. I'll go back to the crop tool. I want to adjust the size of the document again. I'll crop some from the top and some from the left. Double click to apply the crop. Okay guys, this was the end of this lesson. Hope you enjoyed and learned something new. In the next lesson, you are going to add some text to our poster. See you there. Hi everyone. In this lesson, you are going to add some text to our poster. I just made a text box over here. And you can write anything. I'll write gradient abstract. Then change the size. By the way, I'm using the Lego Gothic font. Change the color to white. Then we will duplicate this one. Let me bring it down first. Press on the Alt and move it to the side. We will put a number over here. Increase the size. And we will move it to the right side. Press on the shift to see the guidelines. Something like this will be good. I'll duplicate this again, press on the Alt and move it down. We'll rotate it. Okay, we'll keep it here. Double click on it. I accidentally created a new text box. I'll go to Move Tool, Command Z to undo it. I'll rotate this again, double click on it, or press T and click on it. Now we will write something. Photoshop Super Beast course. You can write anything. I just wrote this out of nowhere. The name of this course is actually Photoshop Mega Course. Make sure that it's aligned with the number, and we will decrease the size, make it very small. Something like this will be good. We will align this with the number. Now press on the Alt and move it to the left side to make a copy out of it. Double click on it or press T and click on it to edit the text. In this side we will add the date. Now let's align it with other text and then press on the Alt to make another copy and bring it down. We will put it somewhere here. Press on the Shift and rotate it. Now we will write anything. I'll write my name. And I put the date there as well. Now move it over here. Or actually we can move it to the left side. Let's move it to the left side and see. And then press on the Alt and Shift, move it to the right side as well. So we made the copy and put it on the right side. Now I will make another copy, press on the Alt and Shift, and we will move it to the middle. We will rename this Alright Reserved. I'm just making up these texts. And the right side text, we will name it Online Courses. Amazing! By this we finished our abstract gradient design. Now we can save it and post it in our social media. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. In the next lesson, I'm going to give you a homework so you can create your own abstract gradient designs. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.